You're welcome back to the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our online and newspaper review with two of my co-hosts, as you already know them, Mimi and Clement. Don't forget to send in your comments and your suggestions and even your questions to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screen or onto our live stream to join in the conversation. Later in the program, or later in the Cocoa Digest Morning Show, Lifestyle will be teaching us about men seeking medical help. And of course, Clement will take us through the business world to teach us about our monies and inform us and educate us, of course. But now it's time for the online and newspaper review. So let's get straight into it. Hello.
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 How are we doing again?
Oh, by grace.
Of course. Yeah. You've said it for all of us.
Exactly.
So what is trending?
A lot.
Okay, so help us. Yes.
But Mimi, take us the first trending.
We'll delve into that. But let me just say, tensions have risen up, did I say it right? Tensions have risen up towards the parliamentary reconvening that is set to happen this morning.
Yeah.
Amidst, the parliamentary candidates being taken out of their seats, and also the Supreme Court against what Speaker of Parliament said, and among other issues, and that is causing a lot of people to, stay in, agitation, stay in, how do I even say it, like they are tensed, they don't know what the outcome is going to be, and so that is what we'll be discussing later in the day. Yeah. Okay, but Clement, you take us.
So as we said, we will delve much into that issue. But for now, let's look at one or two stories. Yeah. So we move deeper into, because that story, that is what Ghanaians want to hear. Yeah. That is what Ghanaians want to see. And we'll bring them in depth about what is going to happen in Parliament. I posted on my status that I want to see that showdown in Parliament today. Because today, probably if I'm not careful, what happened in January 2021 might happen today.
I even saw a picture of one, I think, Oslo sitting on his colleague because he had taken her seat and that kind of thing.
It wasn't easy those days. Yeah. Okay. But away from that, in the news outline, the Ghana Police has released a report. And the report is about a chaotic scene that happened on October 13th, 2024 at Mamobi. That's when NDC supporters and NPP supporters crashed. I don't know. We don't really know what's really happened. But the police has released a statement saying that they are looking for a suspect, and the name is actually in. And they said anybody who brings information about a suspect will be given an amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis, because they have seen that he was the one who just pulled out a gun and shot in the crowd and also among the people. So they are looking for such person. I think it's louder because we are in an election year, which we have, I think, 46 or so to election. And we shouldn't entertain issues like this in our political reign. But there's another interesting story. The Tankers Drivers Association of Ghana, they've issued a statement to IGP. And I was like, what at all would they say? They say that the police riders have been destroying their vehicles. That is, the convoys of the ministers, they've been destroying their vehicles. And I was like, what really happens? You see, whenever this convoy, when they are coming, you need to park aside for the ministers to pass by. But these drivers, and you know that their car they are using, they can't easily park aside. And when they fail to park aside, what the riders do is they pick stone and they throw it to their windscreen. What happened yesterday, I think that was last 2 days, on the from Kumasi Highway, the driver picked fuel from, that is, Tema Ports, and he was sending it to Kumasi. And on his way, this rider bypassed him with a siren on, expecting him to park. But the driver is explaining that their car, they can't just park instantly. Because of what they have and what they are carrying. And according to report, they said the driver was carrying over 54,000 of liters of diesel. That is from Tema heading to the Kumasi. And because he couldn't park, the rider just have to pick a stone, hit the windscreen of the tanker driver to an extent that it got the driver's head. So blood was oozing. And the tanker drivers, they are like, why?
Wonder shall never end.
So, whatever public official that was in the convoy saw that and deemed it right.
I'm sure.
I'm not even concerned about the person, but the liquid that is being carried.
Because if there was something, if some explosion happened, the convoy they would have also gotten affected.
So what were they thinking?
So what level of authority, how high is this authority that you have to destroy the same source of fuel? You know, it is a need. It's an essential commodity in the country. You destroy it just because space wasn't given to you.
Because you want a minister to pass. Yeah, when you look at the pictures, it's quite unfortunate we can't display. But it's so terrible. The man is hurt with blood oozing.
They should take it up.
And the windscreen is destroyed.
News where now they go on strike that they are no longer going to bring in fuel from wherever and the rest. If we trace the root cause because of some high official in the country's passage on the road, of that we are not going to get fuel and things. What is the
when I saw the news, I was like, what at all? Like, what at all? Like, but
sometimes to the policemen who are on the motorbikes, they act of their own volition. But then also someone should call them to order.
It's true.
Because as much as you are trying to enforce that authority or something, does not mean that you should go to such an extent of damaging somebody's car. I mean, the price of a windshield, and then also his health. If you damage his eyes, you've spoiled, you've taken away about half of his livelihood. Because how is he going to be able to drive on these roads in the mornings, in the evenings, especially because that's the times these trucks move.
It's true.
Why? Because of come on, let's be serious.
Because an official is passing. There are away from the Tankers Drivers Union issue, there is another strike action. This time around, it is Public Workers Association. That's a public workers association. They are on strike, an indefinite strike. They started yesterday. And I was like, what at all? They said their allowances. They met government, that was in September, they had engagement with the Fair Wages and Salary Commission, but as at now, a consensus has not been built. So the only thing they are supposed to do is to embark on a strike. And I was like, what institutions come together to form the Public Workers Association? And I was surprised to find out that Electoral Commission is part. So if Electoral Commission is going on strike,
then the election will not happen.
Of course.
That's the current issue. And yesterday, some of the news that's the news agencies, they went to Electoral Commission. To their surprise, they were not working.
Of course.
Goodness.
Yes, officers were not working. So I'm wondering the impact of this indefinite strike on our electoral process.
And then also,
at this very time,
I think I read also, was it 2021 or 2022? There was a structure that was decided would be implemented, and up till now it has not been implemented. So they are also striking about it. I think it had to do with their allowances and I think to an extent even their salaries. That's about the single spine salary structure as well. And
so let me just mention some of the institutions before. Electoral Commission, National Commission for Civic Education,
NCC.
They are the ones going to educate us on how to vote too.
Exactly. We have the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
GBC.
Yes, GBC. So these are the institutions. Ghana News, Ghana News Agency, Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Standard Authority, Ghana AIDS Commission, Ghana Airport Company, and Audit Service of Ghana.
Wow. These are strong institutions.
Pillars of
They are all on indefinite strike as we speak.
Government has to do something about it immediately.
Well, considering the fact that government seems to respond better to strikes, these threats, we will definitely hear a response sooner or later.
It's true. Now, Yaira, let's go back to our main trending story. Someone will be wondering, how this whole thing started, where is it coming from? They don't even know what's happening. So briefly, let me just give a brief background. We were in this country, peaceful country, living our lives. And then one of the Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, came out to say that he has realized that 4 members of the New Patriotic Party have declared their stance as independent candidates, and so there is no need for them to still represent their constituencies in parliament, and so their seats must be taken from them, or they should be taken out of parliament because of their intention to stand as independent candidates for the upcoming election. And then he proposed it to the Speaker of Parliament, our very own Honorable Alban Bagbin.
Exactly.
And he also said, after a few deliberations, and according to the Constitution, the Article 97 of the 1992 Constitution, he realized that a section of it gives that ruling. So let me just say, he made mention of the fact that MPs who have decided to contest in December 7th election as independent or on the ticket of a different party are going to bring issues of cross-carpeting because they are representing two parties, and so according to the Constitution they are supposed to be revoked or taken out of Parliament. And so that was the decision of the Speaker of Parliament. Then our very own Supreme Court, headed by Justice Gertrude Tokodun, also came out to say that he's staying that decision of the Speaker of Parliament because it deprives the communities who are being represented in Parliament the opportunity to be represented in Parliament. There is a section of the Constitution that also says everyone is supposed to be represented in Parliament. Their constituencies are supposed to be represented. Yeah. That is why we have Member of Parliament for this particular constituency, and then the other. And so that was what the Speaker, the Chief Justice also said. And so ruling out the Speaker of Parliament's decision to take out the 4 Member of Parliament from Parliament. And that is what has brought the controversy. And people are concerned about what we learned in senior high school, separation of powers. That why is it that Supreme Court is, overruling what Parliament has said? Their role is just to interpret the law. They are not supposed to.
They shouldn't be able to veto any decision.
So that is
also
basically
these people who have declared themselves independent. There's also the possibility that after the elections, they could say that we are back to whatever party and things like that, which can cause some problems if care is not taken.
Sure. So Yara, these 4 people, one happens to be a Member of Parliament for Amenfi Central on the ticket of NDC. He is going independent. The other 3, 2 of them is, one is from Suhum. He is currently the MP on the ticket of NPP. He's going independent. And the other one is Honorable Cynthia Morrison. Yeah. She's also a Member of Parliament and Agona West on the ticket of NPP. She's going independent. But the last one happens to be the second Speaker of Parliament. That is the Member of Parliament for Fomena. He was an independent candidate as a then, but he has declared his stand to contest on the ticket of NPP. Yeah, so these are the 4 people that Speaker of the Honorable, that's Haruna Idrisu, petitioned the Speaker of Parliament by invoking Article 97, as Mimi talked of. So coming into this, yesterday, I think there was, we were looking at what is really going to happen today at Parliament. That is really the focus. And the parliamentary proceedings or the affairs of Parliament brought a statement out. I think Yara will let us know about that. That puts a lot of measures in place.
So we have here a release from the Parliamentary Service, and it says, 1, as part of the measures put in place to ensure the safety and security of the Right Honourable Speaker, MPs and staff, honourable members are respectfully to take note of the following. So A, all MPs, staff and members of the press will be screened thoroughly before entry into the chamber. Bodyguards of MPs will not be permitted into the chamber. Vehicles will not be allowed to park around the grand arena. Then MPs are to be dropped at the designated drop-off zones within the precincts of the AICC. Then the Ghana Police Service will provide directions to the designated drop-off zone. And then also MPs are requested to wear their parliamentary identification tags. This reminds me of when there was an allegation that we had somebody fill in for one
Yes,
MP.
one of the yes, exactly.
This is
exactly.
a very good measure. Then the last two says access to the chamber will be from 0800 hours, that is 8 a.m.
Yes.
And then the public will not be allowed to access the public gallery until further notice. And it says respectfully counting on the cooperation of all.
So these measures are just to protect
Yes.
Member
Yes,
of Parliament.
But Mimi, the amazing thing is, surprisingly, this morning I was following one of the media houses, and a live report shows that shows that I stand to be corrected, that we have some of the members of Parliament from the NPP side who are already in the Chamber of Parliament.
Like even
A
before
live report, yes, before.
they are taking their
Live
seats.
report. They are already in the chamber. So the NDC are agitating. They are saying that what they release says that at 8 a.m. that is when they are going to allow people to enter the chamber.
They have
so
already
how
entered.
come that they are already? Some of them are already
You
in the
see,
chamber.
it is our actions that lead to the things that we feel is going to bring about the chaos and other things, because we've told you to stay at home. We are starting at 8 a.m. So why have you decided to go into Parliament before the set time?
It's surprising. And according to the live report, it also tells us that we have a lot of military personnel at Parliament as we speak. Because, as I said, what happened in January 2021 might happen again.
But then,
And people of the view that they need to protect Speaker of Parliament today. Because if not for that, the
take
kind
some
of
blows.
chaotic season that might happen today at Parliament. Because the issue is, let's now look at why does NPP still want to be the majority after Speaker declaring. That is my focus now. Because the whole issue is about majority in Parliament. If not for that, I don't think this whole issue would happen. So why majority? And I was like, what is the right? What is the responsibility at all?
You know, they say majority carries the vote. So maybe they want to maintain that, they want to get into the majority so that they can be able to have their decisions get more votes or something.
But you're right, the numbers, difference is numbers currently. If they should go by what Speaker said, the NDC will be having a majority of 136, and the NPP is going to have a minority of 135. So it's going to be a difference of one. And that's one difference to NDC should remember that they are supposed to now elect a second Speaker of Parliament. And the second Speaker of Parliament, it should come from what? NDC. So if that person goes to join as a second Speaker of Parliament, we are going to have a number of 135 as against 135. Yes, we understand. When the Speaker of Parliament is ruling, then the second Speaker of Parliament has a voting right. But when he is sitting in the chair as a Speaker of Parliament, he's not having a voting right. So what happens? This whole issue is still going to continue. But notwithstanding, as we said, majority has a lot of responsibility in Parliament because they table the business of the day in Parliament. They make sure that the parliamentary proceedings are in order. They have upper hand in most of the things that happen. They communicate with the executive arms to make sure that policies are really implemented. So this and many more are the reason why the NDC also feel that yes, this and many more are the reason why the NDC also feel that yes, they are supposed to be as majority in Parliament, and the NDC also think they're supposed to be.
I have a story here. It says Parliament could be paralyzed by MP's risky precedent, according to the ACEPA. And it says the Supreme Court's stay of Bagbin's verdict, which has declared the seats of 4 members of Parliament void, has resulted in a deadlock in Parliament that the African Centre for Parliamentary Affairs, ACEPA, or ACEPA, has cautioned that it could eventually cause the House's legislative work to break down. According to Rashid Draman, the executive director of the ACEPA, if the current events continue unchecked, they have a tendency to erode public institutions. He claimed that members of Parliament were inciting private persons to file legal challenges against certain parliamentary decisions, which is why the current events are occurring. He warned that the numerous contestations would eventually cause Parliament to become paralyzed. So this is also a statement from the African Centre for Parliamentary Affairs. And my producer says we have somebody online to speak to the issue for us as well. A law practitioner, okay. So from Gomda Associates, we have a lawyer who will speak a little and inform us and educate us as usual on the issues. Hello.
Hello, Yaya.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Aman, for joining us here on the Cocoa Digest Morning Show. Could you please give us some legal insights to what's happening in Parliament now?
All right. So, good morning to your viewers. What's happening in Parliament is it's a very strange one actually because it's something that never really occurred in our history. Of course, we've had an issue like this happened with the was a member of the MPP contest as an independent in the 2020 election. But usually the case, Parliament has ruled based on the same precedent. And then we have the majority side of Parliament. It's very difficult to tell now who is majority or who is minority. And we have a fellow market and his fellow go to court challenging the position of the speaker. And then the court has actually given them a remedy, a temporary remedy if you want, by paying the decision or the ruling of the speaker in Parliament. What it means is that the court has said that whatever the speaker has report based on the fee of the 4 MPs, that decision should be put on ice, kind of. That's the state until they determine the matter that is before them. And so the main matter, the substantive matter, has not yet been settled. And the main matter is a matter of constitution. So when you look into our constitution, it's only the Supreme Court that can interpret the constitution. And Article 130 provides that when it comes to interpretation, there is no other court that is close in relation to interpret the constitution. And so anybody who fails or wants a provision of the constitution, the right forum to come or the right place to go is it. So you go under Article 130 and you go under Article 2. That is what Afeni Market and Cook has taken on. That the provision of Article 9, G, and H, as applied by the Speaker, was wrongfully applied because the interpretation that the Speaker gave was wrong. And they have readily conceded that, okay, Honorable Michael Quinn, the former Speaker of Parliament, who also interpreted that provision in the same manner, they have also considered that, yes, he was also wrong, even though he was our man. And so they are saying that the interpretation that was given by the Speaker was wrong, and that the contemplation of the premise of the Constitution was only to the effect that if somebody crossed over to the other side, if an MPP crossed over to the NDC in the same parliament, then that person vacates the seat. And it is not that the person is, seeking to stand as a member of parliament for the ticket of the other party in the next election. That is what the NPP are saying. But the Speaker has used the precedent that was said by Michael Quay against the former MP and said that no, if the person has expressed an intent which can be obtained, obviously, from the EC, that they'll contest the next election on the ticket of another party, then that person has vacated. And so for that reason, because there are 4 MPs, 2 NPP, 1 independent, who does business with the NPP, obviously, and 1 NDC. We have the House Parliament. And so when 2 seats become vacant from the NPP side and 1 becomes vacant from the NDC side, then the I beg your pardon, assume the role of the majority house in the parliament now. And so that is basically, kind of what is happening. But the substantive issue has not been heard as of yet.
So Miriam has a question for you.
Right. So this morning in the news, we realized that some legal experts have advised the National Democratic Congress to obey the ruling of the Chief Justice. Do you think the legal experts are right by saying NDC should obey the ruling of the Supreme Court?
Well, the ruling of the Supreme Court, every decision, any decision that the Supreme Court gives must be obeyed by anybody, whoever you are, you know. But there's something in law that we call political doctrine, political question doctrine. So what that means is that if there are three arms of government, you know, we have the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. The executive mainly implements policy. The legislature, the parliament, they pass law and they make law. And then the judiciary interprets those laws, like I said, as Kowa said. These are the main rules for each of the arms of government. But there are other rules that they also perform. But the political question is that if any arm of government has an exclusive function to perform, no other organ should interfere in the performance of that function. So the executive cannot interfere in the performance of the judiciary performance of their function. Neither can the legislature also interfere in the judiciary performance. No member of parliament can tell the judiciary that, or any court, that decides a case in such a same manner. Similarly, the judiciary cannot come to parliament and tell parliament that do your work in this manner. So that is the political question. Now, the political question is applicable in Ghana to a large extent. It's applicable in Ghana if you perform function, that's any arm of government, in accordance with the Constitution. But if you go outside the Constitution, because you practice the supremacy of the Constitution, and because it is the court that, in our case, the Supreme Court, that has the power to uphold the Constitution. If you do something that is in contravention of the Constitution, then the Supreme Court can come in and say, no, this thing that you have done is wrong. And so you will now be compliant to follow it. In that case, they are not telling you what to do, but they are rather telling you that what you did was against the Constitution and you don't do it. Unfortunately, that was not what happened, you know, with the decision of the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court stayed the decision of the Speaker of Parliament. The Supreme Court did not interpret the decision to the effect of saying that, oh, what you have done was wrong because the application you gave to it was ineffective, was in contravention of the Constitution, or if you construe the provision that you applied, it was wrong. But it was rather this way. That's what the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court said what the decision you have put on high. If the Supreme Court had determined the substantive matter of interpretation that will be called there, then the Parliament will now be obliged to say it has happened in the past. The Parliament will be obliged. You cannot say you know okay, because we are a democracy. It is the laws that govern us. But because it is not what the Supreme Court said, oh, let you freeze what you have done so far, then it is now difficult for us to tell Parliament to obey that decision of the Supreme Court. Already, people are saying that the Supreme Court cannot stay the ruling of Parliament, because for you to stay a ruling, then it must come from a court-like body or a quasi-court like, and the matter that we are saying must be executed. But this is not, a Parliament is not a court or a court-like body. And the ruling of Parliament is not executable in anything. So what then are you saying? So that's also a matter that is of confusion now. And if we are telling the Parliament to obey the ruling of the Supreme Court, it's a bit tricky, because like I said, Parliament and Supreme Court did not say that what Parliament did was wrong. They are just saying that please don't do it. Wait until we determine the substantive matter. And it is that is where the problem is. If Supreme Court had determined the matter and said what to do was wrong, then Parliament will now be obliged to follow it. But that is not the case now. And so that is where the confusion is.
colleagues had.
I think an interpretation was given that by the Chief Justice that the 4 MPs were going to be deprived of the right to represent their constituencies in Parliament. Is that also a case that Supreme Court can use against the 4 MPs or the Speaker of Parliament? Sorry.
That wasn't an interpretation. That was okay. That was some in saying that Parliament should. I'm getting.
Okay.
I think we are losing him.
Right.
So we are losing him.
So Yara, just to say a little, I think he's gone. But
Yeah. Thank you very much for the in-depth exposition you gave us. We really appreciate your contribution to today's newspaper review. Thank you, Aman.
All right, thank you, Yara.
Yes, Clemens, you were saying.
Yara, I think Mimi was asking a question that Supreme Court used a point that if such people are asked to vacate their seat, meaning they are depriving their constituents a rep in Parliament. But we're in Ghana that a particular constituency was deprived a rep in Parliament for the past 4 years. The Sal constituency. They had no member of Parliament in the current Parliament for the past 4 years. And Supreme Court has said nothing about that. So how come currently, about 2 months to election, you are saying if they should vacate the seat? Yes, that is constitutional interpretation. I can't talk about
yes,
that.
What's on
grounds is Sal has no member of Parliament for the past 4 years, since the 8th Parliament. So what about such people?
Yes. Some are also of the view that the precedent which was set by former Speaker of Parliament, Michael Quay, is what is leading the NPP into this situation now because of the issue that happened with the Fomina MP, I think 4 years ago, when he decided to become an independent candidate. The New Patriotic Party were not happy, and so they set that rule that since you are standing as an independent, then your seat has to be taken. I think they were doing that to threaten him to come back into the party. Now that is going against them.
Against you.
They don't
run quickly to the Supreme Court. So this our era.
Like as usual, if we decide to talk about this, we'll be here the whole day. Let's take a few comments. So Barrister K. Rich says, today's quote has got me thinking. It's deep. Thank you for sharing. Then I apologize for reading your comments late, but we are glad you were inspired. Fine. Then Barrister K. Rich again says, I agree with you. I just can't wait for the drama in Parliament today. But let us remember, I want to implore our leaders. We are a democracy. The entry, they interpret it as kebi mami kebi. It shouldn't become akasa kasa. It shouldn't become fighting and all kinds of violent behaviors. What standard are we setting for other countries if we are is it the Black Star of Africa, the gateway to independence, the beacon of democracy in Africa? Let us remember that and stop the party politics, leaning so much on that and forgetting what they are there to do. Because beyond the party politics, you are here to represent us. You are here to govern over 30 million people.
It's true.
It shouldn't just be because my party is this, my party is that. All sorts of chaos will be brewing at the top. Then what will happen at the grassroots? Right.
Adding up to what you are saying, in the Daily Graphic this morning, some legal experts have emphasized the need for the National Democratic Congress to obey the ruling of the Supreme Court because they don't want any chaos, and so they should just obey what Supreme Court has said. They believe that such a position was the foundation of the legal system, which was meant to prevent the country from descending into chaos and anarchy, just as I said. They have therefore called on the National Democratic Congress caucus in Parliament to change its stance and rather take steps to help leave a democratic country. That is what they are saying to the National Democratic Congress. And I think that is what also begs the question that are these people being partisan? Like, why is it that anything that concerns the NPP, everyone should, like, why?
Well, to an extent, you would understand why the opposition does not want to do that. Because if the tables were turned or if the roles were reversed, the others would also stand up against them. But it should not become something that would affect the whole country negatively. They should find a way. These are our parents. I'm sure they will find better ways to arbitrate and mediate on these issues.
Yeah, I hope so.
But moving on from them, we have a few more comments. This one is from Rose Entertainment. Good morning to you all. I am Charles, watching from Dubai. He says, Alfred Doji, today is the showdown day. Nothing will happen. No chaotic.
These are the comments that incite, these
the
kind
whole
of
thing
things.
is there. It's really happening because a live thing I'm getting from a page I am on is that Honorable Anodom is currently in the chamber. Whilst Kwame Aboze is giving that report in a video of them outside, but a new patriotic party MP is in chamber.
inside.
So this is
How did he
starting.
even enter?
This is the starting of the chaotic
even
scene.
them being there, like you said earlier, that apparently there is news that they are there. The security agencies that are there right now, you said there are lots of military, and they should be able to drag them out and screen them.
Go and touch them and see.
You should be. You're
the
not
whole
above
thing.
the law.
Yo.
That's
This
the
is for
whole thing.
security reasons. They should be able to bring them out, check the chamber properly for any untoward thing so that it doesn't happen. Then they can go back. Because you stayed there overnight does not mean you will not be screened. You will be screened. We should be able to enforce this. You are leaders, you are representatives, you are not above the law, you're not gods.
But Clement just said something about a convoy, attacking a tanker driver because of this same MPO. So our security people, the
So
least
are
said,
you
the
telling
better.
me that if our security agencies put their foot down and decide we are doing our work
That
as a
is
security
if.
agency,
You said a condition, if.
I like the word.
Wouldn't that
If,
put
but
them in
they
their
are not
place?
willing to do that because, for all you know, it was just that MP that connected him to get, to that
He has
position.
the job
Exactly.
now. Or you will write for them. Well, you know what? Let's just hope that our leaders will employ some decorum in their proceedings today and set a good example for the nation as we are all watching and listening in on the issues. So the last story here, okay, hey, goodness. One more comment says this. This is a story in the Bible about the disciples wanting to be seated at the right hand of Jesus. Hey, Ghana for
Before you continue, let me just give this. Our Prof Jambo said something. He's a political analyst. Yes, and he was given a history of this cross-carpeting, and he made us understand that in 1958. In the era of the First Republic, when the CPP won power, because CPP was the government as at then, and they had a lot of MPs, the few independents in Parliament decided to, once they are members of Parliament, decided to join CPP.
Wow.
So that is when the cross-carpeting started from.
That's true.
So the reason being that as at then, the government in power was trying to go against the independent MPs while they are doing that. So everybody was running for his life. So you just have to join the CPP so that they can run the parliamentary business successfully. So he is saying that is where the cross-carpeting starts from. So it was just preventing a certain MP, like moving from NPP to join NDC caucus, and an NDC MP moving from NDC to join NPP caucus. So he said that was basically the brain behind that introduction of the Article 97 in the Constitution.
And that even brings my attention to the fact that I want to understand why these people tend to stand for an independent candidate. Like, I want to be an independent candidate. When you were voted in on the tickets of a political party, do you understand?
Sometimes maybe the performance of their political party is not meeting the standards they probably created. Because let's say you are here at Clock TV, you have hopes that Clock TV will be run in a certain way, but then you realize that it's not necessarily that way. So you are at liberty to find somewhere. You can decide to go on your own and be a freelance journalist or join another, media
But in this case, I am alone. I'm representing myself. But here you are representing a whole lot of people.
Yes. So Mimi, let's give, before we delve into the second story, a brief about or history about these 4 MPs. When you take the MP of the Patrick Kwache of Amenfi Central, the reason why he's going independent is because when they went for the primaries, he lost the election to one Kujo, and that woman currently to EC has disqualified her from the parliamentary elections.
Okay.
She's the current PC or parliamentary candidate for NDC, but currently she has been disqualified.
Okay.
And we are also getting news on that issue. So Kwache believes that he can still fulfill the wishes of his people, and he is the right man for the job. That's why he's going independent.
Okay.
When we take the issue of Cynthia Morrison is an MP at the Agona West, as we talked about, and she is also on the ticket of NPP. And during the primary, she believes that a lot of things, calculated agenda, to just move her from the scene. So she still believes that I can still represent my people. I have the numbers, so let me go independent. When we take the Formina, he went independent those days, but now he still believes that, oh, my party wants me back, so let me join back. So whom to the same thing. He lost the primaries, but he sees that it's a calculated agenda. So let me leave the party and be independent. So these are the reason behind all this. But you see, I'm the view that NPP could have prevented all these things from happening if they had really paid attention to their parliamentary elections. When the issue of Cynthia Morrison, when it was raised, they could have solved it in a way that all this issue of invoking Article 97 wouldn't have come to being. The same thing applies to the Suhum. So you've waited for all this mess. You've created all this mess within your internal elections. And the other party has seen as an advantage.
Of course.
And is using it against you. You are now crying. If we had resulted in internal issues, this wouldn't have happened. The same applies to NDC. If they had resulted in internal issues at Memphis Central, this issue wouldn't have happened.
It's true.
Wow. Thank you very much.
I think,
for that.
Clement, you need to, represent your people.
Oh, no, let's
As an independent
TV Parliament. So we have a few comments. This one says, good morning. What a country we live in. We are at war. We are not at war, please. In Jesus' name. We will not survive.
I don't have
war.
anywhere to go.
Galamsey
Please.
is already finishing our rivers. Now war, please. Let's calm down. Then TA also says the final showdown. People, nothing will happen. It will all just smooth.
And they shouldn't think they're going to use this to shift our minds from Galamsey.
Not at all.
We'll still think about it.
Then this one again from TA says, good morning. You all look beautiful today. Good morning to you too. And of course, thank you. Then Akman Multimedia says, number 3 is indeed not a walkover. Sitting arrangements also changed to meet the new majority and minority of parliament. See, it's okay. It's okay. Let's go to the next story. So, Clement, your newspaper story.
Yeah, so that is the graphic business. And when the front page talks about the rural banks, all what they are agitating for is government should pay back the 500 million Ghana cedis, and they are not going to write it off in their books. So government should pay. That is, it has been for the past 4 years, government has not paid that money. So they are still telling government that they should pay that 500 million Ghana cedis to the various rural banks. Yes.
So, okay. I'm sure you'll give us more on that.
Yes,
in
we
the
will do that.
business
We will do
news.
that.
Okay, there's one more comment here. Please, my viewers, let us type with decorum and tact. Goodness. So I'll paraphrase. This one says, an LGBTQ case from Parliament is before the Supreme Court for over 6 months, no judgment. But Chief Justice and others in less than 24 hours have been able to issue a statement. More. Okay, so the last story here is about our Bawumia. He says the fishermen will be utilizing solar-powered outboard motors by the end of October. And so the first batch of solar-powered outboard motors for fishermen would likely arrive in the nation by the end of this month, according to the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And Dr. Bawumia claims that these outboard motors will assist in resolving the issues related to the selling of pre-mixed fuel to fishermen. The NPP flag bearer was speaking to the North Town residents, pastors, and chiefs in the Volta region. So, yes. But this So this is in the Volta region. What about the coastal areas, the fishermen there?
So I think
is
it's,
it in
it's
phases?
for all.
It's for
maybe,
everybody.
Maybe it might be for all. Yes, it might be for all. Maybe he was just addressing the Volta region so that they will know what he has in the pipeline for them. But I think it's for all.
It's for all.
It's a good news, but we see to how it's going to work.
As usual, it is always about how it's going to work, because solar powered, are there going to be people trained in the field to be able to repair, to put together these solar powered outboard motors? Because what they are used to is the one they pull.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've been able to learn how to move around it. Of course, it's an upgrade, but do we have the people, when these things break down, what is the way forward as well? So we hope that that is also in there. Hey, we have a long comment here. More per politics. Okay, so this one says Akufo-Addo had control on all the strong institutions in Ghana, because if he's able to recruit up to 5 judges to the Supreme Court, then he has his own reasons best known to him. Because when I was in junior high and read a social studies book which says a Supreme Court should not be compromised, a Supreme Court should comprise of not less than 11 judges. I didn't know this could change till Akufo-Addo assumed his seat. The Parliament has shown that they have their own laws, which is the standing orders, and all arms of government are working free from interference, which is separation of powers. And we want to see that working. Ghana does not belong to anyone. What is good for Peter should be good for Paul.
We want a practical version of separation of powers. The theory now also.
Oh, okay. We have one more. You people, so Muni, you people know how to send comments like. So we have another one from Rose Entertainment saying we are in a dilemma with the current situation we find ourselves in. 1, if the Right Honourable assents to the directive from the Supreme Court, Parliament loses its power and becomes toothless. If the Speaker ignores the Supreme Court, it is a contempt and disrespect to the court. The Supreme Court has involved itself so much into the business of Parliament, which should not have been so. Some of these issues from the Parliament taken there should have been ignored completely or referred back to Parliament to deal with its own matter. Then this one says, SC, the Supreme Court has become something else. At first, when the Supreme Court is mentioned, you have that feeling of security, but now they have become too political and serving the interests of their people. This is from TA. Hey, my people, let us be careful in our utterances.
Yeah, all right.
As much as you may be right in your own in your sayings, we have to your friend Kasakwa. Let's speak with some decorum and tact so that we don't find ourselves in trouble. Thank you very much for your comments, and this brings us to the end of the online and newspaper review. Next is the lifestyle segment with Miriam Abnadidi. And in our society, we hear that men don't like going for checkup. They don't like going to the hospital. And what could be the reason? Is it because men should be fearful? Our society pressures men to be fearful and strong and providers? Is it because they say what you don't know won't hurt you? Is it also because of even fear of hearing something scary? To find out more on this, stay tuned. Right after this break, Miriam and her guest will be here to talk to us about helping men or encouraging men to seek medical care.